Taeyang transported back to his ship as fast as he could. When he materialized on the bridge, he found complete chaos. Queen Arin stood in the center of the room, surrounded by 5 of her royal guards. The guards were huge, nearly 7 feet tall, wearing armor that seemed alive with moving patterns. His crew members were backed against their stations, unsure what to do. Hana had her hand on her sidearm but hadn't drawn it. Smart woman. Starting a fight with the Queen of Velthara would destroy 5 years of piecework in 5 seconds. Your Majesty, Taeyang said, trying to keep his voice calm. You cannot just board a human vessel without permission. Arin turned to face him. Her skin was now a calm blue color. I have diplomatic immunity. I am a head of state. Besides, I told you I would follow. Did you think I was lying? I thought you were making a point, not actually planning to come to Earth. I never make empty threats, Captain. She walked around the bridge, examining the human technology with interest. This ship is smaller than I expected. How do you survive in such cramped spaces? Doyen looked at Taeyang with wide eyes. The young man clearly had no idea how to handle this situation. Neither did anyone else on the bridge. This wasn't covered in any training manual. Can we talk privately? Taeyang asked Arin. Of course. She gestured to her guards. They moved to stand against the wall, still and silent like statues. Taeyang led Arin to his captain's quarters. The room was small, just a bed, a desk, and a small window. Nothing compared to the palace she came from. He turned to face her after the door closed. You need to go back to Velthara, he said. This is crazy. You have a whole planet to rule. You can't just leave because of some ritual I didn't even understand. I have advisors who can manage the planet, Arin replied. She sat on his bed without asking. And this ritual, as you call it, is the foundation of our society. It is how queens have chosen their partners for 10,000 years. You may not have understood, but that doesn't make it less real. On Earth, we have something called informed consent. You can't bind someone to a contract if they don't know what they're agreeing to. Interesting concept. Arin seemed genuinely curious. So on Earth, ignorance removes obligation? When it comes to major life decisions, yes. Then your people must spend a lot of time arguing about what counts as true understanding. She smiled slightly. On Velthara, we believe actions matter more than knowledge. You drank from my cup. That action created the bond. Taeyang sat down at his desk. He felt exhausted. Why me? Why would you choose a human as your consort? We're not even the same species. That's exactly why. Arin's skin shifted to a soft purple. For 10,000 years, Veltharan queens have chosen Veltharan partners. The same bloodlines mixing over and over. Our people grow weaker with each generation. Our lifespans are shorter. Our children are born with defects. We need new strength, new genes, new possibilities. So I'm an experiment? No, you're a hope. She stood and walked to the window. I watched you for 5 years, Captain. I saw how you solved problems, how you treated people who were weaker than you, how you learned our language even though it hurt your throat to speak it, how you ate our food even though it made you sick at first. You have something we Veltharans have lost, and what's that? Adaptability, stubbornness, the refusal to give up even when everything is difficult. Your people are young compared to us. You still have that fire. That's what I need in a consort. That's what my children will need. Taeyang felt his face grow hot. Children? Now you're talking about children? Eventually, yes. Why else would I choose a consort? This is insane. Taeyang stood up. I'm going to contact Earth Command. They'll sort this out. You'll have to go back. Feel free to try. Arin didn't seem worried at all. The trip to Earth took 3 weeks. 3 very long, very awkward weeks. Arin insisted on staying in the captain's quarters, which meant Taeyang had to sleep in the crew area. She spent her days exploring the ship, asking endless questions and generally making everyone nervous. The crew didn't know how to act around her. She was royalty, but she was also essentially holding their captain in a bizarre alien marriage claim. Hana tried to be professional, but Taeyang could see the concern in her eyes every time she looked at him. Doyun was actually fascinated by Arin. He kept asking her questions about Veltharan technology and culture. She seemed to enjoy teaching him, which was something Taeyang hadn't expected. He had thought she would be cold and distant, but she was actually quite patient with the young engineer. The ship's medical officer, Ji-won, was less impressed. She was a serious woman in her 40s who had seen many strange things in space. But an alien queen claiming their captain was apparently too strange even for her. Sir, I need to run some tests. Ji-Wan said to Taeyang one day in the medical bay. This bond she's talking about. I want to know if it's real or just cultural. You think it might be physical? Veltharans are more advanced than us in biology. If they have a ritual that creates actual biological bonds, we need to know. Taeyang agreed to the tests. Ji-Wan took blood samples and ran them through every scanner they had. What she found surprised both of them. Your blood chemistry has changed, Ji-Wan said, showing him the results on her screen. These markers here weren't present in your last physical exam, which was 6 months ago. Right before that ceremony you mentioned. What kind of markers? I don't know. They're not human. They're not exactly Veltharan either. It's like your DNA is trying to communicate with something foreign. Is it dangerous? I don't think so. You feel fine, right? No symptoms? Taeyang thought about it. Actually, I've been sleeping better than I have in years, and my old knee injury doesn't hurt anymore. Interesting. Ji-Wan made notes. I'll need to monitor this. If this bond is real, if it's biological, then breaking it might be complicated. This news made Taeyang feel cold. He had hoped this was all just a cultural misunderstanding, something that lawyers and diplomats could fix. But if his body was actually changing, if there was a real biological connection, then this was much more serious. He went to talk to Aaron. She was in the observation lounge, watching the stars streak by as they traveled faster than light. Did you know?
He asked her.
Did you know the drink would change my biology? Yes. She didn't look away from the stars. The drink contains elements of my own blood. It begins the bonding process. Over time, our life forces become connected. You should have told me. You wouldn't have drunk it if I had. And we needed this bond. I needed it. Why? Why do you need me specifically? For the first time, Aaron looked uncertain. Her skin turned a pale gray. Because I am dying, Captain Park. Veltharan queens rarely live past 500 years now. I am 470. Without new genetic strength, without a bond to someone from outside our failing bloodlines, I have perhaps 50 years left. With you, I might live 200 more. Long enough to see real change in my people. Taeyang sat down heavily. You used me to save your own life. Yes, and to save my people's future. I won't apologize for that. A queen does what she must. They sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Taeyang spoke. When we get to Earth, there are going to be a lot of angry people. A lot of questions. A lot of problems, I know. They might try to separate us by force. Let them try. Aaron's skin flashed bright red. I am not afraid of your Earth authorities. You should be. Humans are very good at making problems for people they don't understand. Aaron finally looked at him. Then help me understand them. Help me navigate your world the way you navigated mine. Isn't that what consorts do? Support each other? Taeyang wanted to argue. He wanted to be angry. But he was mostly just tired. And somewhere deep down he understood her desperation. He had seen how the Veltharans were struggling. How their children were born weaker. How their great civilization was slowly fading. Fine, he said. But when we get to Earth, we do things my way. You follow my lead, agreed? Agreed. Aaron's skin turned a soft pink. Thank you, Taeyang. It was the first time she had used his first name. Somehow that made everything feel more real. Taeyang stood in front of the large window on his ship. He watched the purple planet get smaller and smaller as they moved away. 5 years. He had spent 5 years on that strange world called Velthara, 5 years of learning their language, eating their food, and trying to understand their ways. Now it was finally over. The human ship called Horizon's Edge was taking him home to Earth. Taeyang felt tired but happy. His mission was complete. He had done what no other human had done before. He had lived among aliens and helped create peace between their worlds. The treaty was signed. The trade agreements were finished. Everything was done. Captain Park, you should rest now, said Hana, his second officer. She was a short woman with a kind smile. We'll be jumping to lightspeed soon. You can sleep through most of the journey home. Taeyang nodded. I know. I just wanted to see Velthara one last time. The planet looked beautiful from space. Its purple atmosphere glowed softly in the light of its 3 suns. Taeyang had actually grown to like the place, even though the gravity was too strong and the air smelled like flowers mixed with metal. The Veltharans themselves were interesting people. They were tall, with silver skin that changed colors based on their emotions. They had no hair but wore elaborate crowns and jewelry that floated around their heads using some kind of magnetic field. But the most interesting Veltharan of all was their queen. Queen Aaron. Taeyang thought about her now as he stared out the window. She was different from the others. More focused. More intense. She had paid special attention to him throughout his stay, always asking questions about Earth and humans. At first he thought she was just curious about aliens, but over time her interest felt more personal. It made him uncomfortable sometimes, the way she would look at him during meetings. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," said Doyun from the communications station. He was young, barely 25, but excellent at his job. "It's from the Veltharan Palace. Priority 1. Taeyang turned around. "The palace? We said our goodbyes yesterday." "Yes, sir. But Queen Erin is requesting one more meeting. She says it's urgent." Hana frowned. "That's strange. What could be urgent now? We're already leaving their space." Taeyang felt something cold in his stomach. Something didn't feel right. But he couldn't refuse a direct request from the Queen. Not after 5 years of careful diplomacy. "Tell her I'll transport down," Taeyang said. "But make it quick. We have a schedule to keep." Doyun nodded and sent the message. Within seconds, a reply came back. The Queen would see him immediately in her throne room. Transport coordinates were already sent. Taeyang changed into his formal uniform. The dark blue suit with Earth's symbol on the shoulder. He had worn it hundreds of times during official meetings. He checked himself in the mirror. His black hair was getting too long. His face looked older than it had 5 years ago. Space and alien planets age people quickly. "Be careful, sir," Hana said as he walked to the transport room. "Something feels wrong about this." "I'll be fine," Taeyang said, though he wasn't completely sure. "If I'm not back in 1 hour, send a message to Earth Command." The transport beam pulled him apart and put him back together on Velthara. The feeling was always strange, like being turned into light and then back into solid matter. When his vision cleared, he was standing in the great throne room of the Veltharan Palace. The room was enormous. The ceiling was so high that clouds formed near the top. Walls made of crystal caught the light and scattered it in millions of colors. At the far end, on a throne that seemed to be made of frozen lightning, sat Queen Erin. She stood up when she saw him. Her silver skin was glowing deep purple, which meant she was feeling strong emotions. Her eyes, which were much larger than human eyes, focused on him completely. "Captain Park," she said. Her voice had that strange echo that all Veltharans had. "Thank you for coming." "Your Majesty," Taeyang bowed slightly. "You said it was urgent?" "It is." She walked down from her throne. Each step made a soft musical sound on the crystal floor. "You are planning to leave?" "Yes, my mission is complete. It's time for me to go home." "Your government's mission may be complete," Erin said. She was now standing very close to him, too close for normal diplomatic distance. "But you have another obligation. One that you cannot leave." Taeyang felt confused. "I don't understand." "What obligation? Do you remember the feast 7 months ago? The celebration of the first trade agreement?" "Yes, of course." "Do you remember the ceremonial drink I gave you? The silver liquid in the crystal cup?" Taeyang did remember. It had tasted sweet and made him feel warm. All the important Veltharans had watched him drink it. They had seemed very pleased. "You told me it was a symbol of friendship between our peoples," Taeyang said slowly. "It was more than that." Erin's skin shifted to a bright gold color. "By accepting that drink from my hand during the sacred ceremony, you entered into a binding contract. A bond that cannot be broken." "What kind of bond?" "The bond of chosen consort. You are mine, Captain Park. You belong to me and to Velthara now. Your mission may be over, but your life here is just beginning." Taeyang felt like he had been hit in the chest. "That's impossible. I never agreed to anything like that. I'm a human. I have to return to Earth." "You did agree." "The drink was the agreement. It is our most sacred custom. Every member of the ceremony witnessed it. It is recorded in our laws. You are my chosen consort, and I am your queen." "This is a misunderstanding," Taeyang said. His voice was rising. "I didn't know what that drink meant. Nobody told me. Whether you knew or not doesn't matter under Veltharan law. The bond is made. It exists? Well, it doesn't exist under human law. I'm leaving. I'm going home." Erin tilted her head. Her skin turned a dark red color. "You may leave if you wish. I cannot stop you physically. But I will follow." "Follow me?" "Yes, to Earth, to wherever you go in the universe. A Veltharan queen never abandons her chosen. It is against everything we are. If you go, I go. My royal guard goes. My ships go. We will establish ourselves on your Earth, in your cities, in your home. Is that what you want?" Taeyang stared at her. You can't be serious. I am completely serious. Before Taeyang could respond, Arin raised her hand. Light surrounded her body, and then she disappeared. Taeyang heard Doyun's panicked voice through his communication device. Captain, the Queen just transported onto our ship. She's on the bridge. She says she's coming with us to Earth. Taeyang closed his eyes and took a deep breath. This was going to be a very long trip home. The Horizon's Edge approached Earth's orbital station 3 weeks after leaving Velthara. Taeyang stood on the bridge looking at his home planet through the window. The blue and green world had never looked more beautiful. He had missed it terribly during his 5 years away, but he wasn't returning as the hero he had imagined. Instead, he was bringing an alien queen who claimed he was her consort. The news had already reached Earth. The communication channels had been burning with messages for days. Sir, we're being hailed by Earth Command, Doyun said. Admiral Seojin wants to speak with you immediately. Taeyang nodded. Put him through. The screen flickered and showed an older man in a military uniform. Admiral Seojin had been Taeyang's mentor, the one who had recommended him for the ambassador position. He looked angry. Captain Park, Seojin said. His voice was cold. What the hell is going on up there? Sir, it's complicated. Complicated? The entire world is going crazy. Every news channel is talking about how an alien queen has claimed you as her husband. The United Earth Council is demanding explanations. Religious groups are protesting. Scientists want to study you both. This is a diplomatic nightmare. I know, sir. I didn't plan any of this. Then explain it to me. How did this happen? Taeyang told him everything. The ceremony 7 months ago. The drink. Queen Erin's explanation of the bond. The biological changes in his blood. Seojin listened without interrupting, his face getting darker with each detail. So you're telling me you accidentally married an alien queen because you drank something at a party? I didn't know what it meant, sir. That's not going to matter to the people down here. Half of them think you're a traitor, the other half think you're a victim, and a small group thinks you're the luckiest man alive. Seojin rubbed his face. Where is the queen now? She's in my quarters. I need to speak with her. Bring her to the screen. Taeyang found Arin reading a book about Earth history. She had become fascinated by human culture during the journey. She looked up when he entered. Earth Command wants to talk to you, he said. Of course they do. She stood gracefully. Let's not keep them waiting. On the bridge, Arin faced Admiral Seojin on the screen. Her skin was a calm blue, showing no nervousness at all. Seojin stared at her for a moment, clearly trying to figure out how to address an alien monarch. Your Majesty, he finally said. I am Admiral Seojin of Earth Command. We need to discuss this situation. There is nothing to discuss, Arin replied. Captain Park is my chosen consort. I am here to accompany him to Earth and learn about his people. This should strengthen the alliance between our worlds. With respect, Your Majesty, you can't just claim one of our people. We have laws. We have procedures. This bond you're talking about has no legal standing on Earth. It has legal standing on Velthara, and Captain Park participated in a Veltharan ceremony on Veltharan soil. Therefore, Veltharan law applies. Seojin looked like he wanted to argue, but he held back. What exactly do you want? What is your intention here? I want to learn about Earth. I want to spend time with my consort. I want to build a bridge between our peoples through our union. Is that not what alliances are built on? Understanding and family connections? In the old days, maybe. But we don't arrange marriages for political reasons anymore. Then perhaps you should start again. It worked for thousands of years. Arin tilted her head. Admiral, I am not your enemy. I am trying to save my people and honor a sacred bond. Surely you can understand that. The conversation went on for an hour. Finally, Seojin agreed to let them dock at the orbital station. The council would meet to discuss the situation. Until then, Arin would be treated as a visiting diplomat with full immunity. But don't think this is over, Seojin warned. A lot of powerful people want this bond broken. After the call ended, Taeyang felt exhausted. Welcome to Earth, he said to Arin. It's going to be rough. I expected nothing less, she replied. The orbital station was massive, big enough to hold 50,000 people. It served as Earth's main gateway to space, where ships came and went every day. When the Horizon's Edge docked, they found a military escort waiting for them. This is for your protection, the escort commander said. But Taeyang knew it was also to keep them controlled. They were taken to a diplomatic suite. It was comfortable but felt like a cage. Erin's guards weren't allowed to stay with her, which made her angry. Her skin flashed red several times, but she controlled herself. "They fear me," she said, looking around the suite. "They think I'm dangerous." "You are the ruler of a powerful alien empire," Taeyang pointed out. "Of course they're nervous. And you? Are you nervous of me?" Taeyang thought about it honestly. "Sometimes. You're very intense." "I will try to be less intense." But her skin turned purple, which meant strong emotion. She was trying, but it was hard for her. Over the next few days, they were interviewed by dozens of people. Government officials, scientists, diplomats. Everyone wanted to know about the bond, about Veltharan culture, about what Aren wanted. Jiwan was brought up to the station to continue her medical tests. She examined both Taeyang and Aren, taking samples and running scans. What she found worried her. "The bond is deeper than I thought," Jiwan told Taeyang privately. "Your heart rates are synchronizing. Your brain waves show similar patterns. It's like your bodies are trying to become one system." "Can it be reversed?" Jiwan hesitated. "Maybe, but it would be dangerous. I'd need to study it more. And I'd need Veltharan medical knowledge to do it safely." News of this spread quickly through the council. Some people wanted to break the bond immediately. Others argued that it would be too dangerous. And a few, like Taeyang's younger sister Myung, thought the bond was actually fascinating. Myung was a xenobiologist who studied alien life forms. She had always been the smart one in the family. When she came to visit Taeyang in the suite, she immediately started asking Aren questions about Veltharan biology. "This bonding ritual," Myung said excitedly, "it's incredible. You're basically creating a symbiotic relationship between two beings. The medical applications could be revolutionary." "It's not meant for medicine," Aren explained. "It's meant to create perfect loyalty and connection between rulers and their chosen partners, so they can lead together. But it could be used for medicine. Imagine bonding a sick person with a healthy one to share life force. You could cure diseases, extend lifespans, heal injuries." Aren looked interested. "We have never thought of it that way. The ritual is sacred. We only use it for royal bonds." "Maybe you should think bigger," Myung suggested. Taeyang watched his sister and Aren talk, and he felt something strange. They were getting along. Aren was smiling, her skin turning happy colors as Myung explained Earth biology. For the first time, he saw Aren as something other than a queen making demands. She was a person who was curious and intelligent and trying to navigate a strange new world. The next day, they were summoned to a formal hearing with the United Earth Council. This was it. The council would decide what to do about the situation. The hearing room was huge with representatives from every nation on Earth. Taeyang and Aren sat at a table in the center while hundreds of people watched. Admiral Seojin was there along with Myung and the rest of Taeyang's crew. The council leader, an elderly woman from Africa, spoke first. "We are here to determine the legal status of the bond between Captain Taeyang Park and Queen Aren of Velthara. Captain Park, do you wish to break this bond?" Everyone in the room went silent, waiting for his answer. Taeyang looked at Aren. She was sitting perfectly still, her skin a neutral gray. She was hiding her emotions, but he could see tension in her eyes. He thought about everything that had happened, how Aren had bound him without his knowledge, how she had followed him to Earth, how she was trying to save her dying people, how she had started to change during their journey, becoming less demanding and more curious. He also thought about what Jiwan had said, that breaking the bond might be dangerous, that their bodies were already connected. But most of all, he thought about what it meant to be human. Humans adapted. They found solutions to impossible problems. They built bridges instead of walls when they could. "No," Taeyang said clearly. "I don't want to break the bond." "Not yet. I want time to understand it first, to see if we can make it work." The room erupted in noise. Some people were shouting in anger, others in surprise. The council leader had to call for silence several times. Aren's skin turned bright gold. She reached over and touched Taeyang's hand gently. "Thank you," she whispered. The council leader spoke again. "Captain Park, are you sure? This is a serious decision, I'm sure. Give us 6 months. Let us try to figure this out. If it doesn't work, we can talk about breaking the bond then. But right now, I think we should try to understand it instead of destroy it." The council members talked among themselves for a long time. Finally, they agreed. 6 months. Taeyang and Aren would be allowed to stay together and work on understanding the bond, but they would be monitored closely. As they left the hearing room, Aaron spoke quietly to Taiyang. Why did you do that? You could have been free. Because destroying something we don't understand is the coward's way, Taiyang replied. And humans are many things, but we're not cowards. We face our problems, even when those problems are alien queens, especially then. The council gave them permission to go down to Earth's surface. They assigned them a small house in the mountains of Korea, far from major cities. It was supposed to give them privacy, but Taiyang knew it was also to keep them away from public attention. The media was still going crazy about the alien queen and her human consort. The house was traditional style, with wooden floors and paper screen doors. It had a beautiful view of the mountains and a small garden. When Erin first saw it, her skin turned a soft green color. It's peaceful here, she said, standing in the garden. Very different from the palace. Do you miss it? Taiyang asked. Your palace? Your planet? Sometimes. But my advisors are managing things well. And I can communicate with them through your internet. Remarkable technology, by the way. We have faster methods, but yours is more accessible. They settled into an awkward routine. Myung had arranged for them to work together on studying the bond. Every day, they went to a nearby research facility where Ji-won and a team of scientists ran tests. They took blood samples, did brain scans, monitored their vital signs. The results were both fascinating and disturbing. The bond was growing stronger every day. Their heartbeats were now perfectly synchronized. When Taiyang felt stressed, Aaron's body showed stress responses too, even if she was in a different room. When Aaron was happy, Taiyang felt a warmth in his chest that he couldn't explain. It's like you're becoming one organism, Myung explained. Two bodies, but increasingly connected systems. The Veltharan medical technology built into that drink is incredibly advanced. Can we stop it? Taiyang asked. I don't know. It might have a natural limit. Or it might keep growing until you're completely linked. She looked at her brother seriously. Taiyang, you need to understand something. If this bond gets much deeper, separating you two could kill you both. Back at the house, Taiyang tried to process this information. He sat in the garden, watching the sun set over the mountains. Erin came out and sat beside him. She had learned to move more quietly, less like a queen and more like a normal person. You're worried, she said. It wasn't a question. She could feel his emotions now through the bond. Wouldn't you be? My whole life has changed because of one drink at a ceremony. I know, and I know you're angry about that. Her skin turned gray. I should have told you what it meant. I was wrong to trick you. Taiyang looked at her in surprise. It was the first time she had admitted any fault. Why didn't you tell me? Because I was desperate, and because I thought you would refuse if you knew the truth. Queens are not taught to ask permission. We are taught to take what we need for our people. That's not how things work with humans. I'm learning that. She picked up a small stone from the garden and examined it. Your people value choice very highly. It's admirable, but also confusing. Sometimes choosing takes too long. Sometimes you need to act. And sometimes acting without thinking causes problems. Yes, like this one. She put the stone down. I have been thinking about something. If we find a way to break the bond safely, would you want to? Taiyang considered the question carefully. A month ago, he would have said yes immediately, but now things were more complicated. He had gotten used to Erin's presence. She was still intense and demanding sometimes, but she was also intelligent and genuinely trying to understand humans. And there was something else, something he didn't want to admit. He was starting to care about her. Not love, not yet, but something more than just obligation. He respected her dedication to her people. He appreciated her efforts to learn Earthways, and sometimes when she laughed at something Myung said or when her skin turned happy colors at a new discovery, he found himself smiling. I don't know, he finally answered. Ask me again in a few months. Erin's skin turned pink. That's fair. They started spending more time together outside of the medical tests. Taiyang showed her around Earth, teaching her about human culture. They visited museums and restaurants. They watched movies, which Erin found bizarre and fascinating. Why do humans enjoy watching fake stories? She asked after they saw an action film. Because real life is often boring or painful. Stories let us experience things safely. Veltharans don't have fiction. We only record history and science, and that sounds incredibly dull. It is, Erin admitted. I'm starting to realize my people have forgotten how to imagine. One day they went to a market in a nearby town. Taeyang thought they could pass unnoticed if they kept Aren's royal guards away, and if she wore human clothes. Mi-young had bought her simple pants and a jacket that covered most of her silver skin. With a hat and sunglasses, she looked almost human from a distance. The market was full of people selling fruits, vegetables, and handmade goods. Aren was amazed by everything. She touched the fruits, smelled the flowers, listened to the musicians playing on street corners. "Your people create so much beauty in small things," she said. "We Veltharans focus on grand architecture and advanced technology. But these simple pleasures, we've lost this." They bought some fresh strawberries. Aren tasted one and her skin flashed bright orange with surprise. "This is incredible. What is this flavor?" "Strawberries." "You like them?" "I love them." She ate 3 more quickly. "Why didn't you have these on your ship?" "Because they're hard to preserve in space. We mostly eat processed food up there." "Then I'm glad we're on Earth. I want to try everything." They spent the whole afternoon at the market. For a few hours, they weren't a queen and her unwilling consort. They were just 2 people exploring and learning together. Taeyang realized he was actually enjoying himself, but not everyone was happy about their situation. A group called the Terra Purists had been growing online. They believed aliens were a threat to humanity. They posted angry messages about Aren, calling her an invader. They called Taeyang a traitor for not rejecting the bond. Admiral Seojun warned them to be careful. "These people are extremists," he said during a video call. "Most humans support the alliance with Velthara, but these purists are loud and angry. Stay away from public places for a while." Taeyang agreed, but he didn't want to be a prisoner in the house. They compromised by only going out in remote areas with security nearby. Meanwhile, the research continued. Mi-young made a breakthrough when she compared Veltharan and human DNA. She found that the bond was actually creating new genetic sequences in both Taeyang and Aren, sequences that had never existed before. "This is beyond anything we've seen," she told them excitedly. "You're not just bonded. You're evolving together, creating something entirely new. Is that good or bad?" Taeyang asked. "I don't know. It's unprecedented. But the new sequences look stable. They might even be beneficial. I found markers for increased disease resistance, better cell regeneration, enhanced neural connections." Aren looked thoughtful. "So the bond isn't just connecting us. It's improving us?" "Possibly. I need more time to study it, but yes, that's what it looks like." This news changed everything. The council had been worried about the bond being dangerous. But if it was actually beneficial, if it could improve both human and Veltharan health, then maybe it was something to study rather than break. That night, Taeyang and Aren talked late into the evening. They sat on the porch watching stars appear in the darkening sky. "When I chose you," Aren said quietly, "I thought I was just saving myself and my bloodline. I didn't think about how it would change both of us." "Do you regret it?" "No, but I regret how I did it." "I should have asked you properly. Given you a real choice, would you accept if I wanted to break the bond now?" Aren was silent for a long moment. "Yes, if that's truly what you want, I would accept it. Even if it means I die sooner. Even if it means my people continue to fade. You deserve to choose your own path." Taeyang felt something warm in his chest. The bond maybe, or maybe something more human. "I'm not ready to decide yet, but I appreciate you saying that." "You're teaching me something important," Aren said. "That respect matters more than power. That asking is stronger than taking. You're learning fast. I have a good teacher." Her skin turned soft pink. "Thank you for giving me a chance, Taeyang." "Thank you for not hating me." "I don't hate you," he said, and he realized it was true. Somewhere along the way, his anger had faded. He still didn't love her, not in the romantic sense. But he liked her. He respected her, and he was curious to see where this strange bond would lead them. They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Both of them thinking about the future and what it might hold, neither of them knowing that their peaceful time was about to end. 3 months had passed since Taeyang and Aren arrived on Earth. The bond between them had grown stronger, but so had their understanding of each other. They had fallen into a comfortable pattern. Mornings at the research facility, afternoons exploring Earth, evenings talking about their different worlds. The United Earth Council had scheduled a diplomatic reception in Geneva. It was meant to celebrate the continued alliance between Earth and Velthara. Leaders from every nation would attend. Admiral Seojun had asked Taeyang and Aren to make an appearance. to show that the bond between them represented friendship between their peoples. Taeyang wasn't sure it was a good idea. The Terra purists had been getting more aggressive online. They organized protests outside the research facility. They sent threatening messages. But Seojin insisted it was important. "You can't hide forever," the Admiral said. "The world needs to see that this bond isn't a threat, that it's actually bringing our species closer together." So Taeyang agreed. Aaron wore her royal attire for the first time since arriving on Earth. She looked magnificent in flowing robes that changed colors with her emotions. Her floating crown pieces circled her head like small moons. Taeyang wore his formal military uniform. Myung came with them, along with Hana and Doyun. The whole crew from the Horizon's Edge had been invited. Even Jiwon was there, though she spent most of her time checking medical equipment, always the worried doctor. The reception was held in a massive hall with crystal chandeliers and walls covered in art. Hundreds of people filled the space. Diplomats and politicians and military leaders from across Earth. There were also representatives from 3 other alien species that Earth had contact with. Everyone wanted to see the famous queen and her human consort. Taeyang felt uncomfortable with all the attention. He had never liked crowds or formal events, but Aaron seemed perfectly at ease. She moved through the crowd gracefully, speaking with various leaders, answering questions about Velthara. "You're good at this," Taeyang said when they had a moment alone. "I've been doing this for 400 years, Aaron replied. "Royal events are part of being a queen, though I admit, human politicians are more aggressive than I expected. They ask very direct questions. That's because they want to know if you're a threat. And what do you tell them when they ask you?" "I tell them you're complicated, but not a threat." Aaron's skin turned soft pink. "That's a kind assessment." The evening went well for the first few hours. Speeches were made about friendship between species. Toasts were raised. Food was served from both Earth and Velthara, though Taeyang noticed most humans were afraid to try the alien dishes. Then everything went wrong. Taeyang was talking with Myung near the food tables when he heard shouting. He turned to see a group of people pushing through the crowd. They wore masks and carried weapons. Security guards rushed toward them, but the intruders were fast. "Death to the alien queen," one of them screamed. "Earth for humans." Terra purists. They had somehow gotten past security. Taeyang saw one of them raise a plasma weapon, aiming directly at Aaron. She was standing 20 feet away, talking to a French diplomat. She didn't see the danger. Time seemed to slow down. Taeyang's body moved before his mind could think. He ran toward Aaron, pushing through the panicking crowd. The weapon fired. A bright bolt of energy shot through the air. Taeyang threw himself in front of Aaron just as the blast reached her. The plasma hit him square in the chest. Pain exploded through his body. He felt like he was burning from the inside. He heard Aaron scream his name. Then he was falling. The floor rushed up to meet him. His vision blurred. He could hear chaos around him, screaming, more weapons firing, security guards fighting the attackers. But it all seemed far away. Aaron's face appeared above him. Her skin had turned pure white, which he had learned meant absolute terror. She was saying something, but he couldn't hear the words. His chest felt wrong, heavy, like something was broken inside. Then Aaron put her hands on his chest. Her skin started glowing bright and hot. Energy flowed from her body into his. The pain increased for a moment, becoming unbearable. Then it started to fade. Taeyang gasped and sucked in air. His vision cleared slightly. He could see Aaron's face clearly now. Tears were running down her silver skin. He didn't know Veltharans could cry. "Don't you dare die," she said. Her voice was shaking. "Don't you dare leave me." Trying not to, he managed to whisper. Security had captured the attackers. Medical teams were rushing in. Jiwon appeared beside them, her medical scanner already out. She looked at the readings and her face went pale. "We need to get him to a hospital. Now." The plasma burned through 3 layers of tissue. "His heart is damaged." "No hospital," Aaron said. Her voice was hard. "I can save him. The bond can save him." "Your Majesty, he needs proper medical care." "I'm giving him proper medical care. Veltharan medical care. We don't have time to argue." Aaron lifted Taeyang easily, carrying him like he weighed nothing. Her royal guards, who had been fighting the attackers, formed a protective circle around her. She walked through the chaos of the reception hall, ignoring everyone who tried to stop her. Admiral Seojun stepped in her path. "Queen Aaron, let our doctors help him." "Your doctors can't fix this." The plasma weapon used Veltheran technology, stolen from one of our ships, I suspect. Only Veltheran methods can heal this kind of damage. How? Through the bond. Our life forces are connected. I can share mine with him. Keep him alive until his body repairs itself. Seojin looked at Jiwon. The doctor hesitated, then nodded. The bond is real. If she says she can help him through it, we should let her try. But I'm coming with you. I need to monitor him. They took Taeyang to a secure medical facility inside the building. Aaron laid him on a bed but didn't let go of his hand. Her skin continued to glow, pulsing with energy that flowed into Taeyang's body. Jiwon set up monitoring equipment. The reading showed something impossible. Taeyang's heart had stopped. He should be dead. But somehow his brain was still active. His cells were still alive. Aaron's energy was keeping him functioning. This is incredible, Jiwon whispered. She's acting like a temporary heart and lungs, keeping his blood oxygenated through pure energy transfer. How long can she maintain this? Admiral Seojin asked. I don't know, but it's costing her. Look at her vital signs. They're dropping. It was true. As Aaron poured her life force into Taeyang, she was getting weaker. Her silver skin was losing its shine. Her movements became slower. But she didn't stop. Hours passed. Mi-young arrived and set up additional equipment to study the bond. What she saw amazed her. The connection between Taeyang and Aaron had become so strong that their biological systems were completely synchronized. They were sharing everything: heartbeat, brain activity, even cellular repair mechanisms. She's not just keeping him alive, Mi-young explained. She's teaching his body how to heal itself using Veltheran techniques. It's like she's uploading healing protocols directly into his cells through the bond. Will it work? Seojin asked. I don't know. But if anyone can survive a direct plasma hit to the chest, it's someone bonded to a Veltheran queen. More hours passed. Taeyang drifted in and out of consciousness. Every time he woke, Aaron was there, holding his hand, glowing with that strange energy. She looked exhausted. Her skin had turned a dull gray, but she never stopped. You should rest, he managed to say during one of his conscious moments. No, not until you're healed. You're killing yourself. Then we die together. That's what the bond means. I will not lose you, Taeyang. Not after everything. Her words touched something deep in his heart. She wasn't doing this out of duty or obligation. She was doing it because she cared about him, maybe even loved him in her own way. Why did you jump in front of me? Aaron asked softly. You could have let the blast hit me. You would have been free of the bond. I didn't think about that. I just saw you were in danger and reacted. Why? Taeyang thought about his answer. Because you matter to me. Because even though this bond started wrong, something real has grown between us. Because you're my friend. Aaron's skin flashed bright gold for just a moment. Friend, she repeated. I've never had a friend before. Queens don't have friends. We have subjects and advisors and political allies, but not friends. Well, you have one now. She smiled. It was the first time he had seen her truly smile. Not a polite diplomatic expression, but a real smile that reached her eyes. On the third day, Taeyang's heart started beating on its own again. Jiwon confirmed that the damaged tissue was regenerating at an impossible rate. The Veltheran healing protocols had worked. He would live. But Aaron collapsed as soon as she felt his heartbeat stabilize. She had pushed herself beyond her limits. Now it was Taeyang's turn to keep her alive through the bond. He held her hand and focused, trying to send his energy back to her the way she had done for him. It was harder than he expected. He didn't have her training or her natural ability. But the bond helped. It guided him, showing him how to share his life force. For 2 more days, they lay side by side in the medical facility, both of them recovering, both of them keeping each other alive through the bond. They had saved each other, proving that the bond wasn't just a chain. It was also a lifeline. When they both finally woke up fully, the first thing Taeyang saw was Aaron's face. Her skin had regained its silver shine. Her eyes were clear and focused. We make a good team, she said. Yeah, Taeyang agreed. Taeyang woke up in a hospital room with sunlight streaming through the windows. He had been unconscious for 2 days after he and Aaron finally stabilized. His body felt strange, not bad exactly, just different. Stronger somehow, more aware of itself. Mi-young was sitting in a chair beside his bed, reading through data on a tablet. She looked up when she heard him move. You're awake, she said with relief. How do you feel? Like I got hit by a plasma weapon and then rebuilt from scratch. He tried to sit up. His chest felt tender but didn't hurt as much as it should. Where's Erin? Next room. She woke up an hour ago. Jiwon is checking on her now. Myung set down her tablet. Taeyang, what happened between you two was remarkable. You literally kept each other alive through pure willpower and the bond. It didn't feel like willpower. It felt natural, like my body knew what to do. That's the bond evolving. It's developed far beyond what we initially observed. You two aren't just connected anymore. You're becoming something new together. She pulled up some data on her tablet. Look at these genetic markers. They're identical in both of you now, even though you started with completely different DNA structures. Is that dangerous? I don't think so. If anything, it's beneficial. You're both stronger than before. Your immune systems have improved. Your cellular regeneration is faster. You're even aging more slowly now. Taeyang processed this information, so the bond is changing us permanently. Yes, there's no going back to who you were before. Even if we broke the bond now, these changes would remain. Myung looked at him seriously. The question is, do you want to break it? Before Taeyang could answer, the door opened and Arin walked in. She was wearing simple human clothes, pants, and a soft shirt that Myung must have brought her. Her silver skin looked healthy again, glowing with soft blue contentment. You're awake, she said. Her voice held genuine warmth. I was worried. Same to you. Jiwon said you pushed yourself too hard. I had to. You were dying. She sat on the edge of his bed. How are you feeling? Weird. Good, but weird. You? The same. I feel your presence in my mind now. Even when we're not touching. Can you feel mine? Taeyang concentrated. Yes, there it was. A warm sensation at the back of his mind, like knowing someone was in the next room without seeing them. I can feel you. The bond has reached its final stage, Erin explained. We are fully connected now, for better or worse. Myung quietly left the room, giving them privacy. Taeyang and Arin sat in silence for a moment, both adjusting to this new level of connection. I need to tell you something, Arin said finally. When I saw you get shot, when I felt you dying through the bond, I realized something. This stopped being about saving my people or extending my life. Somewhere along the way, I started caring about you as a person, not as a consort or a political tool, but as someone I want in my life. I've been feeling the same way, Taeyang admitted. When you were weak after saving me, I was terrified of losing you. Not because of the bond, but because I genuinely care about what happens to you. So what do we do now? I don't know. This is all new territory. He took her hand. But maybe we stop fighting it. Stop trying to define what this is. Just let it be whatever it becomes. Erin's skin turned soft pink. I would like that. Over the next few weeks, everything changed. The attack at the reception had shifted public opinion dramatically. People who had protested the bond were now defending it. The images of Arin saving Taeyang had been broadcast worldwide. Humans saw her not as an alien threat, but as someone willing to sacrifice herself for someone she cared about. The Terra purists were arrested and put on trial. It turned out they had stolen Veltharan technology from a research facility and modified it into weapons. Their leader claimed they were protecting humanity, but most people saw them as terrorists. Admiral Seojun visited Taeyang in the hospital. The council wants to make a statement, he said. They want you and Queen Erin to address the world together, show that the bond between you represents the best of both species. What if we don't want to be symbols? Taeyang asked. I understand that. But sometimes individual people have to carry the weight of representing something bigger. You two have become a bridge between Earth and Velthara, whether you wanted to or not. Taeyang discussed it with Arin. She was hesitant at first. Queens were used to being symbols, but she had started to enjoy being treated like a normal person during her time on Earth. If we do this, Arin said, we do it honestly, no pretending, no political speeches. We tell them the truth about the bond, about us, about everything. Agreed. They held the address from the hospital, both of them still recovering. The broadcast reached every country on Earth and was transmitted to Velthara as well. Billions of people watched. Taeyang spoke first. 3 months ago, I returned to Earth with Queen Erin, bound by a ritual I didn't understand. I was angry. I felt trapped. I wanted nothing more than to break free and return to my normal life. But something happened over these months. I learned that sometimes the things we resist most are the things we need. Aaron and I didn't choose this bond initially, but we're choosing it now. We're choosing to see where it leads, not because we have to, but because we want to, Aaron continued. I came to Earth because I couldn't let go of someone I had claimed. I believed my choice was absolute, that my will as a queen was all that mattered. But Taiyang and his people taught me something crucial, that true bonds aren't made through rituals or obligations. They're built through shared experiences, through sacrifice for each other, through choosing each day to stay connected. I don't know what our future holds, but I know I want Taiyang in it, not as a subject or a tool, but as a partner. The broadcast ended. Messages poured in from around the world. Most were supportive. Some were still critical, but the general mood had shifted. People were starting to see the bond as something beautiful rather than threatening. A week later, Taiyang and Arian were cleared to leave the hospital. They returned to their house in the mountains, but things were different now. They had crossed some invisible line during the attack and its aftermath. They fell into new patterns. Morning meditation together, something Aaron taught him from Beltharan practices. Working with Myung and Jiwon on bond research. Exploring Earth together, cooking meals, with Aaron learning to prepare human food and Taiyang trying to master Veltharan dishes. In the evenings, they would sit on the porch and talk about everything. Their pasts, their hopes, their fears. Aaron told him about growing up as a princess, the pressure of becoming queen at just 90 years old when her mother died. The loneliness of ruling for centuries with no one who truly understood her. Taiyang told her about his childhood in a small coastal town, his decision to join the space program, his fear that he wasn't smart enough or brave enough for the ambassador role. You are perfect for it, Aaron said. You have something rare, the ability to see people as people, not as categories or threats. That's why I chose you, even if I didn't consciously realize it at the time. One night, about 2 months after the attack, they were watching the stars when Aaron asked a question. If you could go back and refuse the drink at the ceremony, knowing everything that would happen, would you? Taiyang thought about it for a long time. No, he said finally. It's been difficult and frightening and frustrating, but I've also grown in ways I never expected. I've learned about another species, about bonds deeper than words, about what it means to truly share your life with someone. I wouldn't give that up. Neither would I. Aaron moved closer to him. I thought I was dying slowly before I met you, not just physically, but in spirit. Everything felt repetitive and meaningless, but you brought something new into my life. Hope, curiosity, the feeling that tomorrow might be different from today. That's very human of you. Maybe I'm becoming a little human. She smiled, just as you're becoming a little Veltharan. It was true. Taiyang had noticed changes beyond the physical. He was more patient now, more able to see long-term patterns. His memory had improved dramatically. He could perceive colors and sounds that he couldn't before. The bond was giving him Veltharan traits just as it was giving our inhuman ones. What do you think we're becoming? He asked. If we're not fully human or fully Veltharan anymore, something new. Something that belongs to both worlds. Aaron looked at the stars. Perhaps that's what the universe needs. People who can bridge the gap between species. Who can understand multiple perspectives? That's a heavy responsibility. Yes, but we don't have to carry it alone. We have each other. Taiyang realized that she was right. Whatever they were becoming, whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The bond that had started as a trap had become a source of strength. And the queen who had claimed him without permission had become someone he couldn't imagine living without. He took her hand and she squeezed back. Through the bond, he felt her contentment, her hope, her determination, and he sent back his own feelings, gratitude, respect, and growing affection. They sat together in comfortable silence, two beings from different worlds becoming one partnership. And that, Taiyang thought, was perhaps the most human thing of all. Finding connection in the most unexpected places and making it work despite all odds. 6 months had passed since Taiyang first returned to Earth with Queen Aaron. The Usain deadline the council had given them was approaching. They had agreed to revisit the question of the bond, to decide if it should be broken or maintained permanently. But everyone already knew the answer. Taiyang and Aaron had become inseparable. Not in a forced way, but naturally, like two puzzle pieces that finally found where they fit. They finished each other's sentences. They knew what the other was thinking before words were spoken. Through the bond, they shared not just thoughts but feelings, dreams, even memories. Myung's research had progressed significantly. She had discovered that the bond wasn't just changing Taeyang and Aren. It was creating a template for future connections between humans and Veltharans. Several volunteers from both species had asked to try forming bonds, hoping to achieve the same benefits. This could change everything, Myung explained during a presentation to the council. Imagine humans with Veltharan longevity and advanced healing. Imagine Veltharans with human adaptability and creativity. The bond doesn't make us the same. It makes us better versions of ourselves. But there were concerns too. Some council members worried about losing human identity. Others feared that the Veltharans might use bonds to control humans. Despite Taeyang and Aren's success, trust was still fragile between the species. Admiral Seojin called Taeyang to a private meeting. "The council wants to know your long-term plans," he said. "Will you stay on Earth? Return to Velthara? Something else?" "We've been discussing that," Taeyang said. "Aren can't abandon her people permanently. They need their queen, but I can't leave Earth forever either. I have family here, responsibilities. So what's the solution? We split our time. 6 months on Earth, 6 months on Velthara. We establish a permanent embassy on each world, staffed by people from both species. We become living bridges showing both sides that cooperation is possible." Seojin considered this. "That's ambitious. But it might work. You'd be the first true dual citizens of both worlds, not just us." Toyin wants to stay on Velthara permanently. He's fascinated by their technology, and Hana has been learning Veltharan language. She wants to be part of the embassy staff. "This is bigger than just me and Aren now." The Admiral nodded slowly. "You've started something important, whether you meant to or not." The council meeting to finalize the decision was held in the same building where the attack had happened. Security was much tighter this time. Every person was screened multiple times. Armed guards stood at every entrance. Taeyang and Aren entered together holding hands. They wore matching formal attire, a blend of Earth and Veltharan styles. Aren's crown pieces floated around her head, but she had asked a human designer to modify them to look less intimidating, more artistic. The council chamber was full. Representatives from every nation, along with observers from Velthara and other allied species. Everyone wanted to witness this historic decision. The council leader, the same elderly woman who had presided over the first hearing, spoke first. "Captain Taeyang Park and Queen Aren of Velthara, you appear before us to confirm the status of your bond. The council has reviewed all medical data, all research findings, and all public sentiment. Before we proceed, we want to hear from you both. In your own words, what does this bond mean to you now?" Taeyang spoke first. 6 months ago, I would have told you this bond was a mistake. Something forced upon me that I wanted to escape. But that's not true anymore. Yes, the bond started without my informed consent, and that was wrong. But what has grown from it is something I choose every day. Aren has taught me patience, long-term thinking, and what it means to carry responsibility for an entire species. She's made me a better person. The bond isn't a chain. It's a connection that gives both of us strength. Aren continued. I came to Earth believing I knew what this bond was. A political tool, a survival mechanism, a way to save my dying bloodline. I was wrong. This bond has taught me what I had forgotten over 4 centuries of rule. That real strength comes from partnership, not dominance. That asking is more powerful than taking. That humans, for all their short lives, understand something about connection that we Veltharans have lost. Taeyang is not my subject or my possession. He is my equal, my partner, my friend, and I am better for knowing him. The chamber was silent. Even the hardest skeptics seemed moved by their words. The council leader nodded. And what of the future? What do you propose? We want to create a new model, Aren said. A permanent exchange program between our worlds. Not just diplomats passing through, but people actually living on each other's planets, learning, growing, building real relationships. We want to establish dual embassies, Taeyang added, on Earth and Velthara, staffed by volunteers from both species. Places where culture can be shared, where research can happen, where bonds like ours can be studied and understood. And we want to offer the bonding ritual to volunteers, Aren said. Not forced, not political. Purely voluntary, for those who want to experience what we have found. A council member from Asia spoke up. Isn't that dangerous? What if people form bonds and then regret them? That's why we'd require extensive counseling first. Mi-young said, standing up from the observers section. Psychological evaluations. Full disclosure of all risks. Making sure people understand what they're choosing. My research shows that bonds formed with true consent and understanding are stronger and healthier than those formed through obligation. Another council member asked, "And what of children? If humans and Veltharans are bonded, what happens to future generations?" Aaron's skin turned golden. "That is something Taeyang and I have discussed privately. We don't know yet if we can have children together. Our species are very different. But if we can, those children would belong to both worlds. They would be living proof that our species can have a shared future." The questions continued for hours. Every concern was addressed. Every fear was examined. Finally, the council leader called for a vote. All those in favor of officially recognizing the bond between Captain Park and Queen Aaron and approving their proposal for dual embassies and voluntary bonding programs. The vote was overwhelming. Nearly 90% in favor. The few who voted against were still worried about human identity being lost, but even they acknowledged that the bond had proven beneficial. The council leader smiled. "Then it is decided. Captain Park, Queen Aaron, your bond is officially recognized by Earth and I understand by the Veltharan Council as well. You are free to pursue your vision of a shared future." Cheers erupted in the chamber. Mi-young was crying happy tears. Admiral Seojun gave Taeyang a proud salute. Even some of the skeptical council members were applauding. Aaron turned to Taeyang. Her skin was cycling through every color, unable to settle on just one emotion. "We did it," she whispered. "No," Taeyang corrected gently. "We're just beginning." 3 weeks later, they held a ceremony. Not a wedding exactly, since they were already bonded, but a celebration of their partnership. It was held at the house in the mountains, the place that had become their home. Friends and family from both worlds attended. Taeyang's parents had finally agreed to meet Aaron, and his mother had actually cried while hugging the alien queen. Aaron's advisors came from Velthara, including her chief counselor who admitted he had been wrong about the bond being a mistake. Doyun gave a speech about how Taeyang had always been the bravest person he knew. Hana talked about watching their captain fall in love without even realizing it. Mi-young presented her latest research, showing how the bond had opened entirely new fields of medical science. When it was time for Taeyang and Aaron to speak, they stood together in the garden where they had spent so many evenings talking. "I don't believe in fate," Taeyang said to the crowd. "I think we make our own futures through the choices we make. But sometimes, maybe once in a lifetime, something happens that feels meant to be. Meeting Aaron, forming this bond, everything we've been through together. It feels like the universe was pushing us toward each other, not to fulfill some destiny, but to show both our species what's possible when we stop seeing differences as threats and start seeing them as opportunities." Aaron spoke next. "I have lived for nearly 500 years. I have ruled a vast empire. I have seen wonders that humans can barely imagine. But nothing in all those centuries has been as meaningful as the past 6 months with Taeyang. He has reminded me what it means to be alive, not just to exist. He has shown me that real power comes not from ruling others, but from building connections with them. I don't know what our future holds, but I know I want to face it with him, one day at a time." They had asked Mi-young to officiate the ceremony. She stood between them, tears already forming in her eyes. "This bond was formed in confusion and grew through challenge," she said. "But it has become something beautiful. Taeyang, Aaron, you have shown two species that differences can be bridges instead of walls. That understanding takes work, but is worth the effort. That love in all its forms is the most powerful force in the universe." She joined their hands. Through the bond, Taeyang felt Aaron's joy, her hope, her love. And he sent his feelings back. Gratitude, affection, excitement for their shared future.